The actual air temperature in Waco, Texas, where I'm standing right now, is 102 degrees, and it's 1 o'clock in the afternoon. We are about to launch the boat and go fishing right now. Why would we do that? There's a very good reason, and it very well may pay off with an excellent afternoon of catching. More to come on this episode of Let's Fish TV that's on the air right now. Oh my gosh.
Check that out.
It's time for the only program that brings you real-time fishing reports from the Southwest region every week.
Cobia!
Big one.
And a monster! Look at
Beautiful.
that! That's a Tawakoni giant.
This is Let's Fish.
Hi again, everyone, and welcome into this week's edition of Let's Fish TV. I'm Barry Stokes, back out of semi-retirement for just today to show off a couple of very special things. On this week's show, we're going to show you how to find and catch hybrid striped bass in the heat of the day, in the hot part of the summertime. They're notorious afternoon and evening feeders. I'll explain more about that later. We're going to be doing it out of my brand new retirement boat. And I could have chosen any boat I wanted as my final boat right off into the sunset, and I chose the all-new Mamba 227 Bass and Bay. This is the perfect combination of a bass boat on top and a bay boat on bottom. It's a center console walk-around boat with a big 9-foot fishing deck on the front, rigged out with all my electronics, my trolling motor. It's got that big Mercury Pro XS 250 hanging on the back, my power poles, all the goodies, a fantastic live well system, everything you could possibly want combined into one fishing boat. More about that a little bit later. We're coming to you today from Lake Waco, Texas, just a little bit west of the city of Waco. It's loaded with hybrid stripers. They stock them here every year. We'll explain more about why that happens and how that happens in the next half hour. While we're out fishing today, we're going to be taking you around your local region for this week's reports from our expert team of insider reporters from lakes, rivers, and bays right where you live. Lake Waco is about an 8,000 surface acre Corps of Engineers lake. It's got semi-clear water in it, and it's about 7 feet low as we're taping this show, but that's not going to affect what we're going to be doing out offshore. So let's get the Mamba 227 Bass and Bay launched down the boat ramp into Lake Waco. Next time you see me, I'll be out there fighting a hybrid striper. Right now, let's get it started back at the studio in your weekend planner.
Hi everybody, the Salooner tables are predicting good game fish activity on Saturday and excellent activity on Sunday. Peak times begin mid-morning around 9:45 on Saturday and 10:37 Sunday morning. Evening activity picks up around 10:10 on Saturday and 11:02 Sunday night. Depending on your local area, you can expect the sun to rise around 6:32 and set around 8:38. And evenings will feature a moon that is just 5% visible. Stay with us. We've got fishing reports from across the area on the way. Plus, Bassmaster Elite Angler John Cruz will be stopping by to answer your Ask the Pro question.
There he is. I got one of them. All right, you can tell immediately when one's a hybrid by how horizontal he swims away from the boat. If it's a white bass, he'll fight straight down. But if it's a hybrid striper, that fish will swim straight out away from the boat. And this one's making a beeline for behind the boat. There he comes. All right, that's a hybrid, a small one, but it's a hybrid nonetheless. Let's get him in here and we'll show you what we've got. There we go. Now, she's downwind with that camera lens, so she's gonna get flopped if I'm not careful. There we go. Now we got control of it. All right, that's a hybrid striper. Let's talk just a second about identification of these fish. You see a lot of stuff on the internet and on fishing shows that you can tell a striper by the broken sides, or a hybrid by the broken lines down the fish's side. Yes, that is an indicator, but no, it's not 100% true all the time. Stripers, a true striped bass, will usually have solid lines all the way down its side, but stripers can have broken lines. So that's not a 100% fail-safe way to tell. They also have 2 patches of teeth on their tongues. I'll talk about that on a white bass in just a second. A hybrid striper, that one we can't tell very well. I'll catch one later where you can tell, but a hybrid or a striper will have two distinct patches of little teeth on his tongue, on the back of his tongue. A white bass will have one patch. It'll be two that are joined together in a heart shape that'll be one patch. So that's how to tell between a hybrid, a striper, and a white bass. The only important thing is you've got to be able to tell between a white and a hybrid, because a hybrid has to be 18 inches long, just like a striper does in Texas, to be a legal keeper. So you can't be keeping little small hybrids thinking they're white bass, because you will get a citation. So we'll put that one back.
Hi everybody, and welcome to this week's Lone Star Lakes, brought to you by Athlon Optics. With great optics at an affordable price with a lifetime warranty, there's more to Athlon than meets the eye. Now this week we're going to start at Lake Palestine. We're going to go crappie fishing, and we're going to look at the bridges and the brush. Find the brush piles off main lake points. You're going to look anywhere from 15 to 25 feet deep to find the brush piles, and you'll find the crappie about 15 to 20 feet down, suspended just around the tops of that brush. Now at the bridges, you'll look for the cross members on the bridge supports, which will hold the crappie at, again, about 15 to 20 feet deep. Drop your minnows, drop your crappie jigs. You'll do fine on Palestine crappie. That's this week's Lone Star Lakes. Be sure and check us out on Facebook, Lone Star Lakes.
There's one, way out in front of the boat. Now he's giving up. Don't you give up. That's a decent one. That's a decent one. Come up here, buddy. All right, hybrid striped bass, folks. We are having a ball today. And he just flopped himself right in the net, which is exactly what. Snatch him hard. Man, it's not that big. I wanted to tell you about where these fish are located in our region. You know, we cover 10 states from North and South Carolina all the way to Texas and Oklahoma and everywhere in between. These hybrids can be found in nearly all of those states. They're prolific in North and South Carolina. Of course, South Carolina is where they started in the 60s. They get big in Tennessee, big in Georgia, big in Alabama. They get big in Arkansas, 10, 12 pounds. Oklahoma has some great lakes, and of course Texas here. Those are the primary ones. Few in Mississippi, a couple in Louisiana, but those are the least states where you're likely to catch a hybrid striped bass. All of these wildlife departments do a fantastic job of producing these fish in a hatchery and then stocking them in lakes. So all you've got to do is a quick Google search in your area, and you can find the lakes where these fish are stocked.
Let's Fish TV is proudly backed by Academy Sports and Outdoors. Have fun out there. Visit Mississippi. Wanderers welcome. Powerful. Total Boat Control. Balls Out. Made in the USA. Heavy duty mounts for your fish finders. Rely on. Challenge your limits.
Broken lines, two patches of teeth. Those are the giveaways. Oh, see you, buddy. There we go. Man, you swim it up off the bottom, and they hate it when you do that. That's a decent one. Yeah, look at there. There's a decent hybrid. How well are you hooked, dude? Pretty good. All right. Man, this is so much fun. Be careful with a hybrid. They'll hook you bad. Broken lines, two patches of teeth. Those are the giveaways. Oh, see you, buddy. Where you go, you get out of here. I want to show you something. I mentioned at the beginning that these fish love heat. I don't know what it is about the DNA of a hybrid striper, but my entire career of catching these fish, the hotter the day, the middle of the afternoon, late in the evening, the better the fishing gets. They move up and feed. And I want to show you the classic example of what these fish are doing. I'm just off of an underwater hump or a roadbed out here, and I'll show it to you on my Lowrance Active Target 2 forward-facing sonar. You can see top right, that's the top of the hump or the top of the roadbed. We'll highlight it for you right here. Then it drops off and slopes down to deep water. And look at all these hybrids. They're moved up here feeding, and they're just like a frenzy of sharks down there circling. They're chasing threadfin and gizzard shad, and they use that slope of the side of that hump to herd those shad and push them up the sides of those humps, and then they have a big feeding frenzy up on top of them. But you can see these fish are just thick, milling around right underneath my trolling motor, and I can catch one every cast. Most of them are small, like 2-year-old fish, about 12 inches long, and then occasionally you get an 18-incher like that that's about 3 years old. And again, the way to catch these fish, if you want to catch a hybrid, is you make a cast, let it go to the bottom, and then crank it 4, 5, 6, 7 times like that. Good one. And they'll eat it on the horizontal pull. This fish is coming up to the top, almost like a largemouth. If you want to catch a white bass, you jig it straight up and down. That's a hybrid. Man, another good one. Come up here, buddy. Man, we are having a time. Now, one other trick I want to show you. I love to catch these on a tail spinner or a spoon, and I'll show you one little trick at the end of the show, but I've changed out the hook from a treble to a single hook, and it helps in circumstances like this right here. It helps you to not get injured, not get hooked. There, I can get it out real easy like that. Show that fish, and away he goes.
Hey friends, Captain Kevin Broussard here with this week's Let's Fish Report, coming to you from Lake Calcasieu right here at Cajun Paradise Charters. I'll tell you what, we're going to keep it right here on the saltwater side of things. We're in the heat of the summertime, but I tell you what, fishing is actually very good. Lots of trout getting caught, lots of redfish getting caught. Tell you what, the redfish, believe it or not, as hot as it is, they're up super shallow. Tell you what, if you can find some water, some areas with some brackish water, a little bit of grass growing in it, throw you a little weedless jerkbait or a Gold Johnson spoon. Tell you what seems to be the key there on your redfish. Trout, early and late, lots of birds working. You can throw soft plastics, 1/8 and 1/4 ounce jig heads. We've been throwing some DSLs. Tell you what, right here at Cajun Paradise, we've got several guides that got plenty of good openings coming up late July, August. If y'all want to get on a trip, look us up, Cajun Paradise Charters. For Old Cajun Phil, I'm Captain Kevin Broussard saying, let's fish.
Let's Fish TV is proudly backed by Lose, Feel the Difference, Mamba Boats, Ride with Pride, Strike King, Taiwan On, Fishing Specialties, makers of the premier mount assembly for live sonar.
Here we go. Oh, that one's a freight train. That one's headed off for deep water to chew the juice out of it. Oh, that one's a freight train. That one's headed off for deep water to chew the juice out of it. Hey, welcome back everybody. We're on Lake Waco today talking hybrid striper fishing. Cross between a white bass and a striper. And they are some powerful brutes now. This one's kind of giving up now. Let's see what he does. They're notorious for not giving up. That's a decent fish. Yeah. It's so hot that they just kind of give up a little bit. Oh, that one, I better stick the net into that one. He's not hooked very well. There we go. All right, that's a decent fish. Well, let me tell you about a cool experiment and some success by the Texas Parks and Wildlife Department. This is called a sunshine hybrid striped bass or a sunshine bass. There are two different kinds of hybrids. There's a female striper crossed with a male white bass. That's a palmetto bass. Then there's one of these. It's a sunshine bass, which is a female white bass crossed with a male striped bass. Here's the big deal. Let's go ahead and get that fish back while it's still lively. Where you go, buddy? The problem occurred several years ago when the Parks and Wildlife Department couldn't find enough female striped bass to make the palmetto bass. They're just pregnant female stripers ready to spawn, lay a bunch of eggs, were just not plentiful. But they learned that they could take a female white bass, keep it in cold water, in captivity in cold water, and then warm that water up, and those fish would spawn, and they could make them spawn multiple times. Most of them are fry, which are microscopic, just hatched, little bitty baby hybrids. Well, if they just dump them in the lake, the shock is too much for them. So they put them in these bags, and I've got a photo, these clear bags. They bring them out to the lake. They let these bags float until the water acclimates inside the bags where the fry are to the lake water temperature. When it's the same, then they pop the top on those, release the fish, and really only a small percentage of them can survive. But ultimately, great hybrid striper fishing with the sunshine bass in the state of Texas.
Hi everyone, welcome to this week's Fish Report. I'm Captain Taylor Burrell with Wave Dancer Charters in Galveston, Texas. Here this week inshore, it's been a little rough with the wind blowing, but there's been still some good limits of trout coming out of the bays, people wading around. At the jetties, been a lot of puppy drum caught, fuel bullheads caught, and if you back off into the deeper water, there's been tons and tons of sharks, big sandbars. I even have reports we caught the other day on the boat, a 7-foot hammerhead. Know if it's another boat catching a big tiger shark. Offshore, if you can stand the pounding, the snapper fishing is still really good, about 50 miles out. A few kingfish have been showing up. We even saw some triple tail the other day. Not very many mahis coming out right now, but if you can find that grass patch, you know, with some good luck, they'll be there. And remember guys, if you want to come fishing down here in Galveston, Texas, give us a holler at Wave Dancer Charters. Thank y'all, have tight lines.
Another one of those. We've caught a million of those today. These are the ones you have to be careful about and identify properly, because if you keep one of these right here, thinking that it's a white bass. By the way, that little tail spinner is wearing them out right now. That's a little hybrid. You can't keep that. It's not legal. But if you think it's a white, and you keep it, you could get a big ticket. So watch for those broken lines right there, and then watch for the 2 patches of teeth on the tongues. Want to give you a quick little look at my Mamba 227 Bass and Bay. Believe it or not, mine is model number 1. Jim and Jared Poole, the Poole family down in Corpus Christi, and I have been working on this project for almost 2 years to develop this boat that takes the best of a bass boat and the best of a bay boat and combines it into one boat. It's got the step pad hull. It gives you really 3 different ways you can get on plane. You can get in big chop and use that big V to cut those waves. You can get in the mid pad and run nice and smooth and stable, or you can get really up on the very back step of the 3-step pad, and you can really run fast in these boats with a 250 mile run around 60 miles an hour or so. Some of them, if they're rigged differently and lighter, can even go a little faster than that, but that's kind of what this boat is. It's got an unbelievable live well system in it. I've got AquaTrack on top of mine, much more comfortable on my feet and not hot, and just provides a nice smooth surface to fish off of. Got my Motor Guide Tour Pro trolling motor up on the front of it up there. I've got 4 Lowrance HDS Pro graphs in it. So this thing is rigged just like a very top tournament level, tour level bass boat, but it's got the convenience of that center console that I absolutely love, and the convenience of being able to walk around in this boat, lots of room, not have to climb in behind a cockpit, and not have to step up and down on that front big high deck 50 or 60 times a day. It's just so comfortable to fish out of. You need to check it out. I can't even begin to show you all the features of it in this short television show, but go to the Mamba Boats website and you can check out the brand new, first time ever seen Mamba 227 22-foot 7-inch bass and bay hybrid combo boat. Man, I am absolutely in love with this thing.
Watch our latest episode or catch up on past episodes on our website at letsfishtv.com. Be sure to hit the subscribe button on our YouTube channel, like us on Facebook, and follow us on Twitter for new fishing videos every day. And download the free Waypoint TV app to get all the latest episodes every week on your phone, tablet, computer, or smart TV. Let's Fish TV is proudly backed by Mercury, Go Boldly, Lowrance, the ultimate fishing system, Gulf Shores and Orange Beach, Alabama. Plan or book your fishing charter at orangebeach.com. Motor Guides Tour Pro with GPS anchor, powered by Passion. Glacier outdoors since 1982.
Welcome back, everybody. Time now to get right on over to your Ask the Pro question for this week. Dale would like to know, what is the craziest thing that you've seen on the tournament trail? For an answer, we asked Bassmaster Elite Angler John Cruz.
Like one of the scariest / craziest things I've ever seen in the water was when I was practicing for my very first, this is the official practice day of my very first Bassmaster Classic in Pittsburgh on the Three Rivers. We're in Pittsburgh, in the city, right? So I'm up here, I'm fishing on the river, it's my first classic, I'm all nervous, I got this media person in the boat, and all of a sudden, we have a very steep embankment, and I look up and there is a truck, like a half-ton Chevy truck, flying down this embankment, turned like spinning gravel, throwing rocks. I mean, I look around and they smash into a tree, keep on going, smash into another tree, then they do a donut and smash into a third tree, probably end up like 30 yards from where I'm fishing. I told my media guy, I said, we're rolling, we're out of here. So by the time I'm pulling my trolling motor up, these two kids get out of this truck, probably stolen, get out of this truck and start screaming and hollering, woo! I don't know what they were on, but it was a scary deal.
Thanks so much, John. If you want some help from one of the pros as well, simply go to letsfishtv.com, follow that Ask the Pro link to submit your question.
Here's today's Right Stuff, presented by Academy Sports and Outdoors.
I've actually caught these fish on about 3 or 4 different baits. So let me show them to you. On these spoons, I've caught them on a couple of different spoons. And you can see I modified them and just put single hooks on them. It helps you, when you catch a fish, helps you be able to get that fish unhooked successfully without him hooking you. And it helps you do it quicker. So it's kind of a safety feature, plus something that helps you go through a lot more fish. Then I caught some on a tail spinner. That's a pretty heavy head with actually it's an underspin. That's an underspin right there with a Strike King Rage Tail Swimmer on the back of it. And then I've got one more bait right here. This one's all chewed up. There's my tail spinner, and I caught them cast after cast after cast on that, reeling it horizontally through those schools of hybrid stripers. So those are my little secrets as far as the bait's concerned to help me find these little spots like you saw on my active target earlier, the roadbed and the hump that I'm catching these fish on. That is my Fishing Specialties Bowdeucer pole mount. It is so cool. That's the Lowrance Active Target 2 transducer on the end of that pole. You just drop it in the mount like this, lock it in. Then it's got a magnetic system here, so if you're fishing in stumps and you hit a stump or a dock or something, this will break away, this whole bracket right here, without doing any damage to your boat or the bracket or ripping any screws up, anything like that. Then you just pop it back in, reattach the magnets. You can point it any direction. I actually have 2 active targets on here, one on my trolling motor shaft, but I use this one way more often. I'm not even looking at the one on my trolling motor because I can hand steer this one and look at those little spots that I'm trying to hit. Check it out, the Fishing Specialties website. Just a couple of keys that help me find these fish like we found today. It's been a great afternoon here at Lake Waco. I hope you enjoyed our Let's Fish episode. Until then, I'm Barry Stokes coming out of semi-retirement saying, be safe, have fun. Bye-bye, y'all.